Like I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, actually 5:05 every single morning, no matter where I am, Iceland, Philly, Chicago, West Coast, or whatever.
You do more by 12 than most people.
That's my plan.
Absolutely.
Yep. So just to try to because you can just steal more time in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And I was just thinking, like, everybody, and I believe that it's okay. Like the average person, we got this thing about the word average, like it has like a negative connotation to it, and it just means you're kind of just like everybody else, right? But if you want to like be elite, you got to forget about the average mentality. Mm-hmm. Stop taking advice from average people.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's about
man.
This is something.
You're listening to the Hot Seed Podcast.
The Hot Seed.
Welcome to the Hot Seat Podcast. All Black Everything, Volume 3, presented by All Black Everything 24/7, 365. I'm your boy, Sean Xavier, and along with my co-host, Earl.
What's going on?
Dave.
Yes, sir.
And our special guest this evening for episode 7, Coach Chaz Franklin of the Chicago Sky.
Hey, we here. Thanks for having me.
Oh. Absolutely. Of course, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Hot Seed Podcast. And subscribe on the YouTube channel, man, at the Hot Seed Podcast. And if you guys haven't already, you can make sure you subscribe to the Hot Seed Podcast Plus, which gives you guys the ability to go in and submit content, get monthly merchandise, drawings, and also be, a guest co-host on the show. All for the wonderful low cost of $3 a month or more if you want. I promise you, we ain't like Netflix. We ain't sharing no passwords, stuff like that. Gentlemen, how we doing? Welcome back from those who returned from vacation. I know we got mid-season form going on. How are we doing, Coach? Coach, it's okay if I call you Coach, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Absolutely, man. So we all always come in, man. We just catch up and see where everybody's up to. So Coach, how's it going, man? How's your weekend? So forth. So, I know, you got a lot on your plate, but how's it going?
Well, we just came back from a 5-day West Coast swing. We played the Phoenix Mercury and we dropped that one. Diana Taurasi wasn't playing. She's like one of the all-time greats in the WNBA. And sometimes you get into these games where when they're missing their star player or like one of their key components, they play.
They all step up.
Yeah, right. They step it up. Right? I mean, they still got Brittany Brown. I mean, she's not mashed potatoes, right? So that was a tough loss for us, but it was great to see BG. This is our second time playing them this year. We actually played them in Phoenix, her first home game after her situation in Russia. So it was good, to just talk to her a little bit, nothing over the top, but I was wearing a BG shirt all last year. So to actually be on the floor with her, trying to figure out how we're going to stop her and to see her back on American soil and giving us the blues. It was a bittersweet for me, but I'm just glad that she's right. And then we went over to Seattle and we played them and we got a pretty good win at Seattle. So, now we're back home and 1 day rest and now we have Las Vegas Aces tomorrow. So it's it's a lot of it's not a lot of downtime. It's a fast turnaround, but that's just the way the league is. So, we're ready for it.
Yes, sir. How was the heat out in Phoenix?
118 degrees. So I came home, I was in Vegas for All-Star Weekend the week before, and then went to Phoenix and it was 118. So it was a lot of. I think it was like a natural. I feel like God knew I needed it. It was like a natural detox after Vegas for me, right? So whatever happened in Vegas, stayed in Vegas, and we spread it all out. Joker was just dropping dead, walking to the arena. It was a mess in Phoenix. 118 at one point. It was 120. I just try to stay indoors. To the arena, back to the hotel, back grocery store, back, and that was it for me.
Oh man. Is it for those who don't know, man? I was actually born in Chandler, Arizona. I was actually born at William Air Force Base in Arizona, and I've been out there a couple of times, even though I grew up in Virginia. But I think something in my DNA allowed me to be able to get through some of the heat that we have here. But the heat in Arizona, and it's different. It's different than Cali. It's different. I think the closest comparison to that will probably be Nevada and to like the west portion of Texas. Yeah. But man, if you've never felt that Arizona heat, bruh,
it's like a blow dryer. It's a blow dryer blowing. Yeah, that's what it feels like. A blow dryer blowing in the face. Yep, that's what it feels like.
So I don't need to go out there then, pretty much.
Man. First time parties though. They got a lot of. It was a lot of.
It is, but here's the thing with it, coach. So when I lived in Qatar, Doha, Qatar, for about a year and a half, and I worked over there. And when I stepped off the plane, and I knew it was hot in the desert, but I didn't know it was hot and humid. Right. I got off the plane. I instantly could literally cut the humidity with a knife.
Yep.
I got to the villa that I was living in, and my I guess my house person, whatever you want to call him, he was like, Mr. Sean. He said, "Hey, you got a pool, but you can't get into the pool until like 10 o'clock. Why? Because the temperature of the pool itself, the heat of the pool was like 108, 115. Yeah. So I would have to wait till the sun went down in the evening, and it's a warm pool for me to get into it. So, dear Lord, yeah.
So you're gonna skip over the fact that you had a house person? That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Slid that in there a little bit.
Yes, I had a house person.
Yeah, my house person. You know.
Yeah.
Look, hey, shout out to Awad, man. I still remember him to this day. He came in, he got my car for me. He had the gate. If I ever forgot my key, I could call him, say, Awad, hey man, look, I forgot my key. He'd say, Mr. Sean, I got you. So yeah, I love that. I
think we're gonna stop that part of the combo right there with your house person.
I could look. Hey, I didn't say slave. I say he was a house person. There you go.
I got you.
Fellas, how was y'all weekend, man? How was y'all weekend?
Hey man, slow motion, man. Just went to a cookout. Just chilled out, man. This weekend I'm going to another cookout, but it's a fight. I'm watching that fight with Earl.
Okay. Big fight coming.
Yeah. Yes it is. Okay.
Big fight.
Okay.
Let's see. The weekend/week. You and I were down there at Disney with your son, graduating from high school and everything. Shout out to Javen. And, He picked for the family to go on down to Disney. I wasn't prepared for it. Yeah. You're never prepared for Disney. Those of you that don't know, it is a job.
Yes.
Plain and simple. You might think you're going down on vacation, but if you haven't been to Disney lately, it is a job. Yes. And that is exactly what it felt like. Every element known to man, everybody was claiming. There's videos out there. There's pictures out there. Yep. I got machines hooked up to me, just muscle tension wise. We're just going to keep that right there. But, the Terramana was flowing.
Yes, it was.
Flowing.
It's National Tequila Day. Yes, sir. Yes.
Everybody was in and out doing their thing. But it was a great time. Great time to be around family. And people just got to realize you just got to get away. Sometimes it doesn't even matter where you at. You just need to shut off your mind from all the stress and just say, everything's turned off. I hardly watched any real TV as far as news or anything else like that. Just enjoying time, man. So it was great.
Yeah, man. To today's point, Coach, I'm telling you now, because I know you got athletes, supreme superstar athletes. You yourself, you're an athlete. You have to be an athlete to go to Disney.
So I've heard.
We did all 4 episodes. So we went down there. So shout out to the missus who coordinated all this. But we got this
big
wonderful home that we rented out down there via Airbnb for the week. And it fit. And it slept all 12 of us. So you can imagine how big the house was. And we got down there. We did Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and Epcot.
Epcot.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to be in superb shape and elite conditioning to endure all 4 of those parks.
Yeah.
The walking alone between Epcot, because Epcot has no trees. It ain't nothing but that big ass castle and a bunch of heat.
The glow, yeah, the big
That's it.
cylinder.
Yes, and then you got Epcot, which you have. If anybody who knows about Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, Virginia, take that and multiply it by 10. So you have all the different countries from Mexico to Norway to Ireland to Canada.
Adult playground.
Yes. So you go around, and Dave is thing we coined like around the world. You go through every country and you drinking and eating, and that's what we did. It got to a certain point, Coach, where we got to Japan, and I had a blackberry sake slushy, and we got the walking. And I think I said to them, I was like, my feet feel warm. I don't know how to feel right.
What was the weather like? I mean, Florida is July. Right?
Oh, it's
110.
Nope. It was 89 degrees.
Really?
But with
humidity?
69% humidity, which made it feel like 98.
Right. There you go. Yep.
Okay.
So we out there leaking, and then you always get around that area, the midday.
You know that instant sweat. As soon as you outside, you ain't do nothing.
Yep.
You just
like
sweating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it
you
was.
leaking, and then it rained for like an hour. You go back.
Now
It was a lot, man. We did 4 parks, and we did complete for the regular folks out there. I'm sorry. We did 9 to 5s. We was there when the park opened.
Oh.
Like we did Animal Kingdom. We were there by 8:30, 9 o'clock. So we saw the animals out there. Mind you, they got lions and giraffes in Florida. So y'all don't. That's in a whole safari situation. Rhinos, and Dave almost got taken out by ostrich, which was hilarious in Florida. So we was there from 8 to 5 or 6 in the evening. And then one day we stayed from opening at Epcot, which is 9 o'clock, all the way until the fireworks was at 9:30. We was pulling full work time shifts.
It was
burnt out, and then got back to the crib and
then
was like at party, pool, grilling, drinking, and I'm sorry if you guys haven't watched the R. Kelly Light It Up tour. Say what you want. That is great. I'm saying I'm not being paid by nobody. It's freaking great. It's on YouTube. It's great. Say what you want. I don't care. You can at me if you want. We pay for all this. But it was a fun time.
You gonna put that in there, but it is a great concept.
It was a fun time, man. Again, man, shout out to my son. He graduated from high school with a 3.7 and some change. And that was his first time going to Disney World. And I just sat back. I watched him hold his sister's hand. She's 3, about to be 3. And he's walking with her, and I took pictures from them behind. And my oldest daughter isn't here, and I got like a little small teeny tear in my eye. And it was his first time, both of them first time going to Disney. And I'm like, man, this is what we work for. This is what we grind for. This is what we work for.
Yeah, you said he had a 3.7, right?
3.78 or something like that.
Don't you owe him a car?
I do owe him an Audi. I ain't gonna lie to you. I owe him an Audi.
And Earl didn't forget that.
I did. I owe him an Audi.
Make sure I remind him too.
I owe him an Audi. But Earl, look, first of all, for everybody watching this, our podcast, this isn't $1 million worth of game. This isn't Joe Budden podcast or whatever. We don't make no money off this podcast right now. He wants a goddamn Audi R8. I make money, but
you made the bet.
Yeah, I did make a bet. Bro. So I gotta figure out how the hell to get this Negro a Audi R8 on what I make, and I'm gonna have to do some things.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
figure it out. Now Chaz is in on the bet, so he's gonna be checking on you online like with that Audi.
I guess it don't make it no better that I had a house person. So it'd be like, how you got a house person? You can't get your son an Audi.
Right?
This is horrible.
Get it going. Get it going.
Of course, man. So this is the Hot Seat Podcast, man. All Black Everything, Volume 3, Episode 7. Coach Chaz Franklin of the Chicago Sky. Coach, I am excited to have you. I know last season, correct me if I'm wrong, Earl, we had Hemingway
Yeah.
of last year, who was of the New York Liberty at one point, also played at Syracuse. So it was dope.
Yeah.
Having another we fancy out here on the Hot Seat Podcast. So let's get right into it, man. And Earl was the one who got you on with us, man.
Let me
Get in there, man. Get in there.
So my guy Chaz, man, known him for some time, man.
Mhm.
Very proud of him. I think it's anybody that know Chaz, I think it's safe to say this brother bleeds basketball, right? Breeds basketball. So I, definitely he hails from the city of Philadelphia. Brotherly love, I like the city, minus the Eagles. Well, we ain't gonna go there.
Hey,
Maybe
we're gonna get there
The
though.
cheesesteaks are
there,
smack though. Shout out to Geno's, man. Shout out to Geno's. Go ahead.
We've gone to a game together. I forget who won. We probably didn't.
Oh, I know who won.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
Yeah, the Giants had a 21-point lead, but they were playing the Seahawks going into the fourth.
Yeah.
Eli Manning turned it over a couple times, and the Seahawks won by a field goal. I remember who won.
You remember
Turn this around.
Yeah.
I'm leaving my hat on because last year they were.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember because the Eagles were 11-0, and they came in, and my Commanders walked in there, and they took that L. But keep on. Go ahead, Earl. What you got?
Nah, but definitely, it's a pleasure to have you on here, man. So you have a very good story. So please, introduce yourself to the listeners. Tell them about your journey, from where you started to how you got to the Chicago Sky.
Okay. Well, my name is Coach Chaz Franklin. I'm the player development coach for the Chicago Sky and the WNBA. I played 15 years professionally in 11 different countries on 4 different continents. I retired May 2021. My last 3 years I played in Iceland, so I served as like a player coach. That's kind of how I got into the coaching game. I returned to Philadelphia May 2021. Kind of started coaching in a pro-am in Philadelphia, which is called the Brotherly Love Pro-am, which is, a big deal where I'm from. And then I coached in the TBT, which is the $1 million tournament that happens in the summer. And then I spent, I've done player development throughout the summer, even during my career pretty much, particularly as I got older, a lot of younger players, both males and females that, I kind of mentored, and it just was like a natural progression in the coaching. Then I spent the season coaching at a Division II university, Millersville University at Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And kind of during that time, I had the great pleasure and honor of working with Kalia Copper, who is, one of the greatest players in the history of Philadelphia. She's a 2021 WNBA Finals MVP. To me, she's like family. So I kind of just worked with her just because it was just in my heart to do. And just trying to help her get to the next step pretty much, which is maybe going from a 9.8 to a 9.9. I mean, she's already Finals MVP. So she came to me, not a finished product, but, pretty much there. And through our relationship and I guess her improvement, the management group and owner, Mr. James Wade, former head coach, Chicago Sky, he took notice and they decided they wanted to bring me on to Chicago so that I could continue to work with Kalia and the other players on the roster as well. So, and we've been rolling since then.
I like that. Let's stay right there for a moment. Because, player development wise, you go in, you look up the meaning of it. You'll see monitor and continuously develop player skill set through on-court and daily film breakdown and all that type of stuff. And that's nice. That's the breakdown definition wise.
Right.
But I know it's a lot more than that.
Right.
I know it's the emotional ties to that. I know there's teachings that have, bases on the court, but it pushes into life and things like that.
Absolutely.
Take us into the mindset of what you teach within player development.
Okay. The first thing for me is that I have to develop an interpersonal relationship with the player. Trust needs to be built because, like, for one, you can't teach people if they don't trust, A, that you know what you're talking about, and B, that you don't have a vested interest in them. So what I find with a lot of player development people, because, this is the age of trainers. There's a million trainers in Philly, Jersey, New York. They're all over the place, right? And a lot of these guys, and women as well, they latch on to these players because they ultimately want to position themselves, right, for a blessing like this.
Yeah.
My approach has always been this. I am a firm believer in a higher power, right? I believe in God. That's just my own personal belief. So I believe that when what you put out comes back to you. So I like to invest in the human being before the athlete. And I think that if you love the person first, right, the basketball player is easy to teach, right? So from my middle school kids that I had when I was starting out, even to finals MVPs, when we walk in the gym, the first thing we do for the first 2 minutes is we take a lap around the gym. And all of my players can attest to this. The management, they've seen it. What are they talking about? What are they walking? What are they doing? Right? We don't start dribbling. We start out by walking and talking. And from, like, let's say somebody like a Robin Park, for example, right? She's a player on the Sky roster. She's like a 30-something-year-old rookie, played in Europe for almost a decade. She's just breaking through in the WNBA. Sometimes your minutes go up and down, right? I've been every single guy on a roster professionally. Like, I've been at the bottom, I've been benched, I've been MVP of the league, I've been all those different roles. So when I talk to Robin Park, I don't want to talk about the jump shot first. I want to talk about how blessed like somebody like Robin would be just to be here after all that time, right? Like, forget everything else, up, down, good, bad, just to be here. Like, you got great problem, man. You in the league, right? You in the league, getting spotty minutes, but you missed it. You focus on the spotty minutes. You need to focus on you in the league, right? So let's walk. Let's talk. You got anything you want to say? And then, I don't know. And I say, yeah, because you're a bum. Then she laughs, right? And then we can get to work, right? And so then we try to simplify things. I like to keep my workout simple. I know a lot of coaches at the collegiate level and a lot of professional coaches, they're not big on trainers because some of the stuff, it just needs to be practical in terms of our offensive sets, our defensive philosophies, whatever we're doing. So if I'm working with a player that's like a rotational player, right? Like, everybody, for you to be able to dribble like Kyrie and James Harden and you get 15, you get 15 seconds, that's not how it works, for 99.9% of players. So I try to structure all of my workouts, like detail-wise, around the sets that we're going to run and around their role. So for me, less is more. We do 2-ball dribbling and we use cones sometimes and we use chairs sometimes as well. But a lot of times we use live bodies. So we have practice guys that we work with. And a lot of times I'm the live body. You know what I mean? So I like to hack them and push them and push them to the limit. And I like to piss them off because not because I don't love them, but because I love them.
Because you do.
Yeah. I want to see how you respond when it's not going your way. When we play one-on-one, I like to cheat them. One, because I'm a cheater, right? And I want to win. I'm retired athlete, so I want to win, right? And two, I just want to prepare them mentally when things don't go your way. Referees, sometimes they make bad calls, terrible calls, right? How do you respond mentally? We have a player on our team, Ruthie Hibbert. She just had a baby, April, I think 11th or something like that. Xavier, baby Xavier, is like the teen baby, it's an infant. She's playing in the WNBA 3 months later.
That's wild.
Right. So she's like, she's what, 6'3"-ish, All-American at Oregon, 3-time All-American. She would get pissed if I just said All-American, 3-time All-American, excuse me, right? And she's coming back off of, pushing a human being out of her body. Right. And we got to get in there early in the morning. So the rest of the team is practicing. We might go 9, 8:30, but Ruthie's got to get her work in. So when did me and Ruthie have to come in? 7. And the relationship, because she don't really want to be there at 7. So we have to kind of develop this bond where, hey, we're here at 7, and you're going to be blessed, and your son's looking. You don't know what he's looking at yet because he's like 2 days old, but he's looking, right? And you got to get back to being confident, and you got to get back to being the All-American that you are, and I'm going to beat the slop out of you until you get back to where you need to be. And if you let a 42-year-old bald, fat guy, I'm not that, but I'm just saying partially fat, retired fat, right? Right. So that's how I show my love to her. And eventually, because they're fighters, they fight back. And a month later, she's going to war with Brittany Griner. She's rebounding. And yesterday, she had an and one, and she does the and one thing. And I said, yes, my girl, right there. Now we got something. So that's my approach, right? The interpersonal relationships.
Now I agree. Like I equate it to when I'm working with my students, and I tell a lot of the teachers, I said, you could try to teach them all you want, but if you don't have a relationship, like none of that stuff is gonna retain. So I definitely agree that relationships are everything. One of the things you was talking about, you playing for 15 years. What's the difference that you see with males versus women playing basketball? Because I personally feel like people can debate me if they want. I personally feel like women play harder, because I feel like they got a chip on their shoulder. And every woman that I played when I did have knees, you know what I'm saying? It was like, nah, like don't go, like they come at you, like they come at you harder than the fellas do. So, I just kind of wanted to get your perspective of, what do you see as the differences?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Women athletes have been disenfranchised for so long, right? That they're not respected. They didn't get the respect that they deserve, right? So they naturally show up with a chip, right? Naturally show up with a chip. And that competitive spirit, and it's like, because we're guys, right? So we think we're going to war.
Right.
No. You don't go to war like how women go to war.
Right.
Like I've seen guys, I've had teammates and stuff. We might have been at practice and it get heated. Y'all might cuss each other. Y'all might even fight. Right? Two guys, they clash, they get one off. All right, cool. Let's go back to the game. Women, when they go to war, the beef is forever. Right? They are hyper competitive, right? And I love it, right? They're hyper competitive. And just to speak to Ruthie again, right? Which was one of my things I always said to her. I was like, Ruthie, when you look at that, that's Ruthie with the baby, with Xavier. Yo, look at the animal kingdom. The king of the jungle is the lion, and it's the guy with the mane, but most of the time you see him chill. You know what the ferocious one is? The mother.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Go try to hurt or steal one of those cubs and see how that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so I love that part about the women, like the women's game. And the thing that just pisses me off the most, because I'm with them every day and I see the work they put in, right, is that we'll walk through the airport and it's 12 teams in the WNBA, right? 12 roster spots. So that's 144 players for the world, right? So you are a top 150 player in the world, let's say, right? And you walk through the airport and a guy, and this is no disrespect to the guy or like his line of work, but he's mopping up the floor at Starbucks. And he has the audacity to say, oh, you're a bum. This is what I'll do to you. And you're disrespecting greatness simply because she's a woman. And for me, that ain't cool, because game respect game and players respect players. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't even be the top 50, 150 guys mopping up you know how hard it is to be top 150, right? These women, I don't know if you guys followed the league this year. People are getting drafted, first and second round draft picks. They're on ESPN. 2 weeks later, they're at training camp. You don't have a good training camp? You back in Jersey. You're fighting for your life. It ain't guaranteed like the NBA. Yeah, we drafted you, but you got to come and go to war when you get here. And
you don't have as many options.
You don't, right? So I respect that chip. They're ferocious. They're talented, strong, physically, mentally. They play year round. They play in Europe. Most of them play in Europe or Asia during the wintertime. And then
see, just staying where you were talking about, I guess you would say double standard in a way. Dawn Staley was going off on that last year when she's just talking about, you're coming at these players of the tenacity of how they're carrying themselves. If a man was doing it, you wouldn't think a thing. But when a woman does it through the process of a game, all of a sudden she's this, she's that. And, being that voice like she is, Do you see the WNBA, and not just WNBA, but just women's sports in general, making that push a whole lot more?
I believe so. The women's Final Four this past year, with the LSU team, with the South Carolina, obviously, you had Iowa. I mean, golly, they're talking look. I'm from South Philadelphia, and I grew up in the '80s and '90s. On the school, I didn't have a trainer. I grew up on playground
I got you.
schoolyard basketball. That's how I grew up. So confrontation is perfectly okay with me in the the structure of competition, right? That's part of it, right? You guys, you're in the DC area. You guys in the New York, North Jersey, that area, right? Yo, man, you had to be able to beat your opponent. If you couldn't stand up to them mentally, right? The way I grew up, there was guys that say, "Hey, man, you know what? You make one more shot, I'm gonna punch you in your face," and you got to decide that. Is he really gonna punch me in the face? Like, should I try to make this? And then if that didn't work, they go another level in Philly.
Yep.
You make one more shot, I'm gonna shoot you after the game.
Hey,
right?
What do they say about Jordan? They say he's an asshole.
You say whatever
you know what I mean?
to get you here, right?
Yeah.
And so why should women be? And I'm not saying you should be out in WNBA games
Right.
talking about you gonna shoot people. That's not what I'm advocating. But what I am saying is that under the umbrella of competition, what should you be willing to do to win?
Yeah.
Almost anything. Like without injuring somebody, right? If you play a little rough, if you talk a little, if somebody's mentally weak and you sense that, they shouldn't be here. These are the best players in the world. So let them go at it. And whoever left, standing at the end of the fight, that's the winner. That's what I want to see from men and women.
I got it. You brung it up the Final Four, and I made this point on a previous episode of ours, Coach, that this was probably the best women's NCAA Final Four that I've seen in years. And then I want to say within weeks after that, we had the WNBA draft. And I made a comment to the fellas that, the NBA outside of the players themselves, there's a lot of marketing around the NBA, specific players and stuff like that. And I felt like the mark was missed coming off of the energy of the Final Four going into the draft itself. And I guess my question to you is, because we know I played just pickup. I played against some women basketball players who played in college and such. No WNBA players, but I played, and they went at me harder than any male athlete based off of what you said there. But I guess what's your feel of the way that the marketing of the WNBA as it goes from, or I guess as women's basketball as it comes from NCAA to WNBA compared to men's NCAA to the NBA?
Yeah. Well, I think that what we have to keep in mind, I think the WNBA started, I think like 96, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So in the whole scope of the league and like we're professional, they were playing baseball in what? Early 1900s, 18, it's a long time, right?
Yeah.
So the NBA is at 75 years or something like that. Then they just have like a 75-year thing. So the WNBA in comparison is really young, right? Well, I watched original WNBA games.
Yes.
Right? With Rebecca Lobo and
Cheryl Swoops.
Cheryl Swoops, right? And Tina Tom, all these people, all these legends, right? What I would say is this. It's growing and it's growing rapidly. See, when we don't have, like in Philadelphia, we don't have a WNBA team yet, right? So I was a big WNBA fan, but I didn't feel the impact. But see, if you walk around Chicago, people recognize, you're the Sky? Oh yeah, like that. It's a thing, right? We played in Toronto for a preseason game versus the Minnesota Lynx. It's 20,000 fans sold out. Toronto.
Love it.
Toronto, right? The commercials, when we're sitting in the restaurant, it might be an Applebee's commercial. It's a WNBA commercial. Like for every single thing they promoted, right? They had banners just floating around the city, on these little flag poles. It's growing. and it's you. I mean, somebody like even a place like Minnesota, they have a big tradition, like a great tradition. You go to these games. We played at Phoenix, BG first. That was 17,000 people. We played them 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They're at the bottom of the league, near the bottom of the league. That was 11,000 people still. I played college basketball. I never played in front of 11,000 people, not one time. Right? So it's growing. So the market, and I think they're doing a good job, but we just got to be patient. It takes time. But I mean, like Dwayne Wade just signed on to our ownership group here in Chicago.
I was going to go into that. Yep.
Yeah. Right. So now we're going to double down because he has a lot of visibility, the financial backing. And I mean, and it's a great product. So,
you know what? I just want to touch on what he just said, Earl, because I have it right here with Dwayne Wade. One of the things he did say pretty much confirms what you were saying. Quote unquote, a great opportunity to be part of a league in its very early stages. And then he goes on to say growth is going to happen, and so I want to be a part of that growth of the league. Getting in that early, developing these players, he has the love for the game and things like that. So that's why I said the buildup of it. I think also, she wasn't any type of player or anything. I didn't know like Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child has partial ownership in them. There's a lot of people getting these ties in, these names, and that will also help promote it, whether they're part of the league in a sense of former players and stuff like that. Just the notoriety of it.
Right.
So I definitely see it growing in that sense. I just didn't know if you had any side note of anything in your mind where you were like, you know what? I can't wait till we do this. I can't wait till we're able to get to this point and maybe even development wise, I have more hands and more opportunity to do this with players. Because we also know cash runs everything too. Right. So if that money is not there, certain things that you may even want to do as a player development coach, you may not have the option to. Kind of like what Earl was saying, comparing it to teachers. Teachers now have more stringent budget, and they're coming out their own pocket. Are there things that you kind of have to go into now where you're like, okay, maybe I'll do this, but then I got to pull back on this?
Right. Well, in terms of Chicago, like we're growing. Like our growth has just been, especially like a big rapid, man. Right. So we are working on a new practice facility from what
that championship helps, by the way.
Oh yeah, sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, right. It's chess, it ain't checkers now. Everybody,
yes.
So we're working on a practice facility from what I'm hearing downtown. Right.
Got it.
That's going to be a game changer. Las Vegas, the Aces. They just kind of started their practice facility. We've played there already. This Vegas, I think it's like at Mandalay Bay, like Strip. Yep. Trust me. I mean, we played a game there, and we were there for the All-Star game. It wasn't small time. It was the singer Army Kaylani performed at halftime. Iverson walked past. Kevin Durant walked past. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, they're right there. This wasn't like a women's basketball event. This was a basketball event. This was a movie, right? And so it's going the way it's supposed to go. As far as like resources, like with the Sky, me personally, I mean, I haven't had to like really do anything on my own because they do a really good job of providing me with everything that I need, right?
Gotcha.
So, we don't have our own facility yet, but the facility that we do train in, it's solid. We have our personalized weight room in there. Obviously they have the training room, the hot tub, the cold tub. We have the court, and it's generally off limits to the public. They have other courts that, like, I guess the members use, and any equipment or whatever that I've ever needed, was readily available for me. And so they've been very just gracious and helpful and just doing the best. And it's been, I mean, look, this before I came, but they won a championship with what we have. Right. So it's enough, but we still want to continue to push the envelope and move forward. I mean, our former head coach, Mr. James Wade, is this new smart board, whiteboard, coaching board. I grew up, we had a chalkboard, right? Erasers that you had to click together, right? And this one is showing the game in real. It's like, how you watch on TNT and Kenny Smith and those guys.
Yeah. The run up,
And they're running up on and writing and drawing, right? like literally in real time as the players are playing,
Mhm.
coach is able to draw on the board. Like, oh yeah, see, you're right here, but you should have did right here, and that just wasn't available when I was growing up. So we're like, as far as Chicago, they're doing a really good job of just giving us the resources that we need, and I appreciate that, for our players for sure.
Yeah,
What I was what
I
sorry, go
definitely like the support, that the NBA is, well, the players at least, are given to the WNBA, because like typically when I'm watching a lot of games, I see it's like a common thing where it's a lot of players that are coming to the games to support, and I think they need to continue that. But the other question I wanted to ask you, so now with this NIL, this NIL is a game changer. And as we saw with LSU and Iowa, what was it, Caitlin and Reese? Like, I mean, they was the two biggest things in, I'm gonna just say, basketball
Right.
at that point. Not even women's basketball, no, basketball. Like that, the NCAA women's tournament, like that was more watched than the men's. You know what I'm saying? So, and honestly speaking, I was more intrigued by that than the NBA finals. So like with this NIL deal, and you think of like Reese and you think of Caitlin, the money that they're getting is more. Well, I'm gonna say it's higher than a lot of the WNBA players are getting. I wonder, is there any fear that this talent is going to kind of take their time to get to the WNBA? Because like if we're talking about monetary, it's like it's no rush to get there, because if I'm a kid, I'm like, well, I'm making great money in college, so I might as well, it's no rush. Whereas on the opposite end, in the NBA, it's like, you know what, nah, I'm gonna go get that bag, because I could get more money in the NBA.
Right. Well, I mean, in my opinion, like the Angel Reeses and the Caitlin Clarks, I think obviously they are like superstars in the college game, but I think that they are kind of exceptions to the rule and aberration. It's not normal. You don't just like, everybody's not Angel Reese. Basically, nobody's Angel Reese. Right. So, and I think it's kind of a two-pronged situation where when they do wait, if they, like a lot of players, like you said in the men's game, they leave college early because they was trying to get to a better financial situation for themselves and their family as soon as possible.
Right.
But and also a lot of them are out the league in 3 years. Right. If you get drafted first round, drafted first round, because they didn't have the time to really develop. And once you get in there with the big boys, it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
So we don't have time for you to get your stuff together. You got to come in ready to produce, or you're out. You're in Romania playing with me. Somewhere, right? So the positive thing about it is that these talented female athletes that are in college and capitalizing on these NIL deals, right? They have time to build a legacy, and they have time to develop, and they don't have to be a starving artist. What they also do is they build their brand, as you kind of jump into the WNBA level or jump to that level. Like, remember when we were coming up, it was certain colleges and universities and players, I hated them.
Right.
I hated Duke.
I was about to say,
yes,
Duke.
absolutely.
I hated Bobby Hurt. I hated these dudes.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I saw them. I hated Christian Lake after Cherokee Parks after year. I hate him again. I hate him as a sophomore. I hate him as a junior. JJ Redick, I hate him as a senior. I hate does his hair thing. I hate him. Because that takes time to build love and time to build hate.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now with these new college players in the men's game, I don't even know these guys well enough.
True.
Right?
That is very true.
I'll tell you this much. When Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, when they do get to the W, right, their cult-like following, they don't just stop loving these players because
Absolutely.
Now you're going to get people that, hey, you know what? I'm an Angel Reese fan, so wherever she go, that's my team.
Yeah.
Right? Aaliyah Boston, she had a big following at South Carolina. Indiana's near Chicago. They're like kind of like sister cities or close to each other at least. When we play Indiana, hey, there's a million Aaliyah Boston fans here. So they don't stop loving you or hating you. So your branding will be fine. Go ahead and build it up strong. Build the house, build a good foundation. It's nothing like college. Like, in my opinion, when you get to the professional ranks, it's so cutthroat and it's so about business. But you never get those years back to be just a student athlete.
Right.
You can be a student athlete with your friends and live on campus and go to your college parties and, as they say, and be lit and get you a bag.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and get paid, sis. You have time.
Right.
You have time to come up there to the big league. So
Right.
I'm cool with it.
But now that makes sense though, because like their influence, like I said, is only going to help the WNBA. I mean, I guess it's kind of mirroring to, what Michael Jordan did, because the league was kind of dying at that point, but he kind of gave it that spark, So I definitely see that, and then too, I mean, like I said, you have some more hitters coming up, that's in the wing. So I definitely see that as a benefit, and then just the competitive, the competition is crazy.
Yep.
So I will say this, Coach. For one, I agree with you because I absolutely despise Duke. I've been a Carolina Tar Heels fan since I popped out the womb. So I go all the way back on tobacco. That whole Carolina is that Carolina blue runs deep here. 2005, Chaz Franklin, and you mentioned it playing. We're talking about 15 years professionally, and you guys, I heard you talk Romania and such like that, being drafted in potentially the first and second round in the WNBA. But if you don't, you get to training camp and you could end up back at the crib after the fact. 2005, coming out of school, not drafted, and then still having a career that goes for a decade and a half plus. What impact, or I guess what influence does that have on working with players today? Who you were speaking about, the one player, I forget her name off the top of my head now. Who's just now coming into the league at 30 years plus. Coming at 30 plus. What impact did you, not one being drafted, coming out, her being such a late bloomer, have on your relationship with them and influencing them and training them and preparing them mentally, the big part mentally, to have a successful career at WNBA was?
Well, because I was a player that was exceptionally talented, not like super talented, right? But anybody that knows me knows that my thing was that I was a worker, right? An obsessive worker. And if you kind of have that great passion to play the game and be blessed, like, I mean, my first job was terrible playing overseas. It was terrible. My first job was $500 a month in professional basketball, third division Germany, right? And then I end up, being blessed to coming up, you know what I mean? But I started, how they say, out the mud kind of thing. So that's how my career was, right? So I started out very lowly and humble. And as it relates to, like a player like Robin, I like to tell them, all of my youngins, and that I'm mentoring. I talk to all of them, but some more so than others. So we have workout groups. Tell them that, hey man, like I want to put all of my experience and all that I've learned in these 15 years from all these different coaches and regions and whatever I learned. I want that brain and that mind to be in your young body. And I never want you to get so caught up psychologically, because we get cute. I've done it, right? You overseas, right? You oversee, and you might want $11,000 a month, and they only going to give you $9,000, right? And you're going to get $9,000, and it's going to be tax free, and it's going to be 10 months, and that's going to be $90,000, right? And I grew up in public housing as a child. So if somebody said, yeah, we're going to give you $90,000, you'd be jumping for joy, right? You just hit the lottery. But then when you get so blessed, sometimes you get so blessed and so civilized, right, that you forget where you came from. That you forget, you're in the WNBA. We don't practice 10 hours a day. This ain't high school, right? You come in, you get your work in. You probably be here about 2.5 hours, and you get to leave. And that's your job. And then when you get to play in front of 10,000 people, right? So this ain't that overseas grind, right? You blessed just to be here. All of us are blessed just to be here. So appreciate it as such. Put your work in as such. And it ain't a grind either. Like every day I come into practice, and, hey man, why is your energy so high? Why are you so happy? Because I slept on the couch for 8 years of my life. Right? Because I lived in an apartment with no heat for 8 years. Right? That's why. Right? So I can't have a bad day. We're in a 6-game losing streak, then that's crazy. I really want to win, like really bad, right? But I've seen men shot and killed. This ain't worse than somebody getting killed, right? So let's get in here and do our work. Let's be blessed. You know what I mean? Let's do what we got to do. But just keep that in mind. And, you know, all these players, every last one of them on our team, they're so much more talented than I was, like pound for pound, right? They better. I was never in the NBA, so I was never as good as them on their level, right? But what I just try to give them is my experiences and keep their spirits uplifted and just help them just keep everything in perspective. Hopefully that helps them to play better.
Yeah, Coach, before Earl go, because you were talking about that 9,000 on tax free. Did you have a house person? Fair enough.
All y'all house people owners out there.
I had one in Saudi Arabia. It was an Indian.
Was his name a Y?
I don't know.
Shout out to a Y, man.
Yep, I had him. And then I played in South America, Central America once. It was a small league. It was in El Salvador, right? Smaller league, right? But I played on the best team, like the biggest team in the capital. We played in the big arena. It was great, right? So we had this little lady. Her name was Esmeralda, right? She come in 6 in the morning, boom, 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 knock on your door, right? So you know it's really poor in El Salvador, like super poor, right? So she come in 6 in the morning, and she want to clean from 6 in the morning to sit. And I'm like, yo, sit down. It ain't that much. She come in, she make your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner. She cleaned the kitchen, the bathroom, the roof, the gutter. We had a pool. The pool, right? She want to shine shoes. She'll stretch you out if you're tight. She was like just a utility person for cleaning it. I'm like, I used to feel bad, right? Like, yo, just like relax, like just take a chill. She just never wanted to chill. This little lady named Esmeralda, that was her name.
Shout out to all the house people out there, man.
Yeah, shout out to house people.
I'm in the wrong country then, pretty much.
Oh shoot!
Nah, but I think like you hit something on the head there. Like, you said putting things in perspective, and even talking to these fellas, your parents and stuff like that. Whoever raised you, it was like, how many of them came up and actually loved what they did? You know what I'm saying? It was like, you're working because I got to put food on the table. I don't necessarily love doing this. I'm doing this out of a necessity.
Right.
But the fact that, what I'm saying, we afforded the opportunity to do what we love to do, you know what I'm saying? It makes the little shit, like just non-existent. It's like, yo, what I got to complain about? I get to get up every day, speaking to you, get to get up every day and live out my dream. I'm getting to teach these women, and see them develop, on the highest level. I get to get up every day, go to Trenton and work with these kids, you know what I'm saying, and see how they're developing. So it's like, I think the beauty of it is doing what you love to do. At the end of the day, if you can reach to that level, like, you won. You know what I'm saying? You won. Now I do want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Football season is upon us. So this is pretty unique because this is all NFC East here. Me and Dave obviously are Giants fans. Unfortunately, Sean is a Commanders or whatever their name is.
Commanders, Washington football team, Redskins, Flash.
Hey, we got new owners. It don't even matter at this point.
Magic about to change it.
Whatever. And then
I don't even care.
And then brother Chaz is unfortunate, Eagles fan. They finally got one. About time, because y'all was making the NFC East look bad. But, y'all finally got one.
Shoot.
Welcome.
About to go on.
So and I'm gonna try to be non-biased, and you ain't gonna hear me say this again. I ain't gonna lie, the Eagles are nice, yo. And
Georgia Eagles.
Yo, yeah.
The Georgia
I think what
You know.
frustrates me.
Nice.
They're
NFC
probably
champions.
listen, that was hard for
Right.
me to say that. Okay.
Okay, all right. Growth, brother. That's growth.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying. But I think for me, it was like what's frustrating is I'm like, yo, how did these dudes just come off of going to the Super Bowl and y'all picks are stacked? And I'm like, yo, you getting all these Georgia dudes? I'm like, yo,
Yep.
your GM,
Yeah, Harry Rosen.
man.
Whoa, whoa,
My hands are not on.
That's what happens when you're the producer of the show.
All right. Let me say one thing. I got a good Giant story for you. Want to hear this one?
Yeah.
It's a good Giant story. This is why I'm stacking it up. This is another reason for me to hate the Giants. Ready?
Oh,
Daniel Jones, familiar with him?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones.
$40 million man.
Yeah. So I have a buddy who's a big time sports agent in the NBA, and their company works with in the NFL as well, right? And they're trying to do some stuff and get Daniel Jones, trying to negotiate that deal for him. Daniel Jones has a brother, right, who played basketball at somewhere. I think he played at Davidson. He spent a year at Duke. So we want to get things going for Daniel Jones's, Daniel Jones, but his brother wants to play overseas, Daniel Jones. And my friend, the agent, he's too big time for these level of players. So he calls on me because I had a lot of connection. Can you get Daniel Jones' brother a job? I'll try to get him a job because the relationships, I owe this guy a favor. I'm going to do him a favor. The guy averaged 1.7 points a game. It's not exactly the easiest person to get a job for. You know what I mean? I call on a relationship with my old team. They want Daniel Jones's brother. We negotiate. The deal is set. It's time to go to the table and sign the deal. He ghosted me.
Wow.
Never heard from him again. He never gave us the dignity of response. And you kind of make my relationship funny with the team. And that's why I hate the New York Giants even more.
That's valid.
It's,
That's valid.
it's by association.
Wow.
Daniel Jones' brother, who Daniel Jones is with the Giant, so there's even more of a reason for me to hate y'all team. It's not no, it is personal. Why am I lying? And the Redskins, or the Commanders, the football team, whatever, I don't even really worry about y'all. Right? Y'all gotta worry, but you got Magic Johnson now, so maybe things will turn around.
No, that's valid. So well, I guess what I wanted to get to, where do you see where y'all ended up at this year?
Well, the first thing is this weird stat that the team that loses the Super Bowl doesn't make the playoffs. Like
You'll make the
You're
playoffs.
not a good enough team to win it, right? But now you got a tougher schedule the next year, and you have the target. It's different having a target when you're one, but there's a gap between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So with that being said, logically, I guess if I was a betting man, you're going to have a terrible season, right? But in my heart, we've been having one of the best rushing attacks in the league, right? And the defense, I mean, they was getting after the quarterback. I mean, they had it was like one of the all-time sack leading. I think they tied the record for sacks in the season or something like that.
Yeah,
so I'm not a football specialist, but I do know this: if you can run the ball, and if you can get to the quarterback and force turnovers and stuff, you got a chance every single year. You know what I mean? So with that, and we got Jalen Hurts. I think he's one of the upper quarterbacks.
Stay right there on Jalen. Hold on.
All right.
Stay right there with Jalen, because I want to put out there, and I put it out there before with another Eagles fan, how quick we forget. Jalen Hurts is the prime example of coaching and honestly believing in a player.
And he likes
because in your own organization, how fast we forget, he was on that red line. He is about to be gone. This is a man that a decision was made and it kept us out of the playoffs. You remember that, Earl?
Yes, I do.
He got pulled in that fourth quarter.
Yes, I do.
He was balling out, and they pulled him, and y'all lost that game. And I sat back and I was like, really? This man balling out, and they don't want to give him his respect. And then had to fight for the fact of being that starter that next season going in. So then you surrounded by some talent, you made your moves and everything, and then you see him shine.
Mhm.
And I say that because it kind of sparks into the fact of what you do for a living, that player development.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I know we're talking football and everything, but it's all the same in that
Right.
sense.
Yep.
If you get that belief behind the player,
Mhm.
if you change that mindset, if you let them know that they're the best out there, you just got to put it out there. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will.
Mhm.
Because it shows. It's an aura that comes off of you.
Mhm.
He's different now.
Right.
He was talented before,
Right, but he's different
but
now.
it's a different glow now.
It's
It's
a
a
glow, right.
It's a hey.
Yep, right,
It's
yep.
like, hey, I'm on this field. I don't care who you trying to compare me against. I'm hearing all these different type of things. I'm about to do my thing.
Mhm.
And it's scary for people like us that are fans of other teams that we sit back and we're watching this maturation, this maturity level that he has. Because the other thing I love about him is you see the love for the game that comes off of him.
Mhm.
See, some people just play and they're athletic and they're just good at what they do. They're just gonna shine regardless.
Right.
Mhm.
There's some people that you could just tell they just leave it out there, man. It's there. No matter if you believe in me or not, it's just there. And you know, it's hard for me to say, but I really do like an Eagles player named Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
I
that's why,
love to see
like,
this man play.
bro, it's hard for me to dislike. It's hard for me to really dislike this dude because, like, he's doing everything he's doing. I rock with. Like, he's the underdog. You know what I'm saying? His agent is a black woman
Mhm.
Right.
who was probably top 10 NFL agents. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, in the league, especially with all the high like caliber players that she got right now. I think she got what's my man, the Quentin Williams from the Jets. They just signed a crazy deal, you know. And then even his whole team is women.
Mhm.
His whole team is women, you know. So like, it's hard for me to dislike this brother, you know.
You know what? Can I say one thing about his team? Right, it's something that we've been talking about here a lot lately. Like, especially like me personally, like being in the WNBA. Yo, man, invest in women
Mm-hmm.
because the return
Yep.
of it. Oh man,
Yep.
invest in women.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, you give her a house, you make it a home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you give her a good time, you'll have a family.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's a fact.
Yeah, you preaching.
That's a fact.
I've witnessed to it. I'm gonna tell you, I've worked with both, obviously, like, you know, men and women, right? And I'll tell you, man, even before the WNBA, my girls that I train, like AAU girls, high school girls, you know, I don't know if you guys are fathers or you. I mean, I know you are, but like if you have
Mm.
Yep.
sons or daughter, but boy,
Yep.
don't nobody love you like the girls, man.
What?
It's different.
What?
Love my boys too, and my guys,
Nah.
guys, but your girl is different. So when you invest in women, you know she found him, his agent, on Instagram. That was a DM.
Right.
Now he's got one of the richest. He had the richest contract in the history of the NFL. Right? Did somebody
Mhm.
else beat it? But you know how they always do that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you 250 million, or I'm gonna give you 250 million and $1.
And one
Lamar
dollar.
Jackson got about a dollar,
Yeah.
something like crazy like that. Yeah.
Chaz, you want to know what's crazy?
Yeah.
Because you were talking about the women fact.
Mhm.
I always said, God bless me in my life for not having a daughter. And I'm going to tell you why.
Mhm.
I'll be broke. I
Yeah.
already know that a daughter's look and heart would break me down to the bone. See, my son, I can say, nah, I'm
Right.
good. Nah. Get that stuff together. You know,
See, I was
with my daughter, I just know if I had a daughter, Lord,
see, I would be. I'm the opposite
be a
because
weak
like
point.
we all have sons, but Sean got Sean got
He
two
has daughters
daughters.
too.
I got a 20-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old daughter.
Right, so he's blessed twice.
Right.
Now, with my son, he ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? He's for my wife.
Right.
Same thing with Cam, with Dave. He ain't for Dave. That's mommy boy. You know what I'm saying? So like at the end of the day, which you know,
Oh yeah, somebody got to go. I already got a bag
yeah,
at the door.
and we
It's already
we joking, but it's serious. You know, at the end of the day, I'm happy that he's going to look out for his mother. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Ken. He's going to look out for his mom. So I already know I'm on my own. But I know I wish you want to say if I had to pick, I would have a daughter because a daughter takes care, especially if you take care of them, they will take care of their father. They could get married and they will have a room waiting for you. And it's just Yo, they
So
don't
you-
care what the husband said. Like, yo, my daddy moving in here.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't get Javen his Audi then, if that's what you're saying right now.
Yeah, no,
Everything you're
you
saying.
got two daughters. Just take care of them, and you good.
Fair,
Like he
fair
be
enough.
all right.
He about to get a Hyundai or something like that. I
Yeah,
don't
he
even know
be
what's
all right. No, give him a bike. He be all right.
Hyundai's done came up. Go ahead.
Facts.
He be all right.
That new Ionic S, I think is pretty dope. Coach, and the story, it's so much I was taking into it, and I was trying to formulate this question. And we were talking about, of course, as men, especially as sports, when you're an athlete, there's a certain level of bravado and you have a certain ego about yourself, because when you're young, you believe you're the best thing cooking. You're the best thing cooking. And at a certain point, you may be the man on the yard or whatever for a minute, and you get to that point, you meet other people in your same category, you realize, man, I'm not as good as I was. I think you even spoke to that for a second. But the difference is there are those that take that, I guess, they take that opportunity and they turn it into a 15-year career like you did. And there are those who may turn it into a 3 or 4 year career. And then you hear about them on the 30 for 30 or something like that.
Right.
So I can imagine when you were in school, when you were playing ball, you had dreams of being, NBA, everything else in between. But you still turned that into a career that is nothing to sleep on. Doing all that, what has been your, I guess what has been your proudest moment or biggest, well, I guess your proudest moment in your basketball career, whether it was a player or as a coach?
Wow, that's a good one. Honestly, I have, well, as a coach, I have two.
You on mute?
Your mic. There you go.
Hello? Good.
Yep.
I have two right now. One of them is with our player Kalia Copper. She, when I talked to the other coaches and the general manager in the preseason and all that, I told them that I think she's going to be a 40% 3-point shooter this year.
Okay.
And I don't think she's
We'll get him back in a minute. Get
into the nitty gritty.
Yeah. First of all, he said 40% 3-point shooter. That's almost 50%. You know how hard it is to get 40%. That's.
I don't care if you throw up 5 shots in 10 games, bro. Like, like,
right. That's
percentage,
insane,
bro. Nah.
That percentage is Steph Curry percentage. Speaking of Steph Curry,
Wow, break.
Yeah. We ain't real on break. We still going. I love that. It's National Terramana.
Get your commercial.
Now it's National Tequila Day. National Tequila Day, man. Dave out there with the Terramana Blanco. I had the Terramana Anejo, and I got the Resposado as well.
We got some upgrades to the bar, by the way. Got to get to the crib, fellas. Got to get to the crib.
Absolutely.
I'll be there, I'll be there next week.
Coach coming back.
Coach, I don't know what happened.
We took a break because
it was
it's
a Terramana
Tequila Day.
It was a Terramana.
And we were talking about Terramana.
All
shout
right.
out to the folks at Terramana and great Dwayne Johnson. I support them folks for the last 4 years. Keep going.
So,
go ahead, you're two.
Yep. So one of my proudest moments, it's not like one specific moment, but it's every time Kalia hits a 3-pointer, right? Because we're city players, right? We're inner city players, in fact, from the northeast part of the country. So the thing is, oh yeah, y'all can play, y'all can dribble, y'all tough, but you can't shoot, right? Right? And every time she hit a 3, right, and she do her thing, she's like, yeah. I'll be in the pitch like, yes, that's right. You know what we're talking, right? Because I saw her put in all the work. We're all like competitive, and I'll be wanting to say, yeah, I told y'all, I knew she was putting the work, right? So that always gets me going. I'm always proud of that, right? And then with Ruthie that I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
She was pregnant. I saw her first workout on a 0 gravity treadmill. That means that they got to turn the gravity so I don't know if it's up or down, that it's only giving you 10% of your body weight. You know, she's walking like Frankenstein.
Wow.
I saw her first workout. 3 months later, she getting and-ones and she bump, boom, boom, she bump, and every time I see her run out there, it warms my heart because I'm just proud and happy that they are being blessed for one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also, you know how we come up, you know, like my favorite part being a WNBA is you want to test yourself against the best, right? I want to see if what I always felt in my heart was true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was thinking it was true, but you know, like you have to be that way as an athlete. Like, man, I know I'm like one of the best. I know this will work. I just need the shot. I know I could be on that level. Like I'm not just talking. I know that it's for real, right? And I know my drills work, and I know that my concepts work. I know they will. And so every time that they go be successful, with Dana Evans, she run a pick and roll to perfection. Boop, do a little pocket pass, right? She smiled at me, and I smiled. I'm like, yeah, I knew it, right? So that's one of my proudest moments. And then as a player, I was old, man. I played till I was 40 years old. And I had an Achilles injury in like 2017. So it wasn't like a rupture, but it was like chronic tendonitis. I'm 37 years old. And I was like, man, I was going to retire. It was hard. I gained a lot of weight. Like you go through depression. It was hard to come back. And then I just committed the summer to working hard again, 4 months, and just changed my whole nutrition. Like no more, no like meat, no sugar, just lost a lot of weight and got back. And then I ended up going over to play in Iceland. And then like I won MVP. One of those. And, you know, it's not like the NBA Finals MVP. It ain't the WNBA. It ain't Kalia Copper's MVP, right?
Well, let you know that you came back.
It's an MVP.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, just the lessons that you learn.
I ain't the MVP at Accokeek, Maryland.
So
Go ahead.
that was I mean, like just for me, it's just like, you know, I mean, we all have these ideas about who we are, but you don't really know until the bullets are live and they flying. Now we're gonna see who's who. What.
Hey, Coach. Before we get into our not so breaking news, you talking about.
There's one more thing to touch on too, Sean.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you remember the scene in Rocky 3
Of
when
course,
you had
the movie.
you had them running on the beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was these couple of guys. They were racing on the beach one time, right? That I remember. Right. And I don't know what they thought. They was racing on the beach, and you were talking about you playing into 37. You had Achilles injury. These guys was like maybe 30 at best. So they were racing out on the beach. I think it was like Atlantic City or something like that. Ocean City, my bad. I forgot the two guys. And they were racing, and one dude was racing, and he pulled a damn hamstring racing on the beach.
Did he fall?
when you talk about your 37, because I saw your tone dip just a little bit, just let you know these two young cats here, there was a 30 in their early 30s, was racing, pulled a hamstring running on the goddamn beach.
Wow.
What you say, Dave? We say.
So, Coach, there was there's this very wise man that put out this quote. I just want to put it out there to you because it's going to become part of my repertoire when I'm teaching some of my agents at my job. Success doesn't happen organically. You don't just stumble into greatness. Success isn't casual. Success is intentional. Success is on purpose. That great man that I saw that quote from is Mr. Chaz Franklin.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Break that down for me.
I appreciate that. Wow.
Bars.
Like, yeah, you know, like
we dig deep here. We dig deep.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was good. That threw me, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, I guess that's just how I was feeling at the moment, right? And you just never realize that maybe somebody gonna take that and maybe it'll motivate them, it'll inspire them, or whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, man, like you gotta have a plan. Like you have to have a plan. I mean, even a cell phone come with a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plan, right?
A 2-year plan.
Right?
Wow.
That's a bar, right?
Like your life, right? And you get one shot at it, and you just gonna wing it. Like, I'm just not winging it, bro. Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're trying to be, when you want to be successful, it's like so many people now, especially like now, like in a newer generation, because it's just kind of different. You know, the world is constantly changing, and it just gets so many affirmations, and so many empty validations on social media, and all this kind of stuff, right? That they they want success, or they like to have it, but they don't want to go like get it per se. Like if you can feed them, then they'll eat it. But like if you got to go out,
You gotta
and get
work
it,
for it.
yeah. And so I had to always tell myself, yo, man, like when you waking up at 5 in the morning, right, to run these sprints with your old behind the top behind track, and when you at the barbecue and you really want a piece of fried chicken like real bad, and the hot sauce you can smell it on, and you want that bad, and you got to make up your mind, yo, man, do you want to try to be MVP or do you want fried chicken? Which one you want? And you got to I was consciously telling myself, do you want these lemon cookies from 7-Eleven, right? Or do you want to go back to overseas and get paid? Which one do you want? Because you can't have both.
Is it Royal Farms chicken though?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they have Royal. You know, I'm not a Royal Farms guy like that. Right? They don't really have them so much in Philly, and maybe in Chicago. I don't know. I haven't seen them here. Right? But yo, man, just every single day, like I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning. Actually, 5:05 every single morning, no matter where I am. Iceland, Philly, Chicago, West Coast, or whatever.
You do more by 12 than most people.
That's my plan.
Absolutely.
Yep. So just to try to out, because you can just steal more time in the day.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just thinking, like, everybody, you know, and I believe that it's okay. Like the average person, you know, we got this thing about the word average, like it has like a negative connotation to it, and it just means you're kind of just like everybody else, right? But if you want to like be elite, you got to forget about the average mentality. Stop taking advice from average people.
Right? That's a bar.
Man.
This is something that people tell me about, like that they would get on me a lot because people would call me like a workaholic kind of thing, right? And they would say, "Oh, well, you know, you got to have work life balance, right?" And I was like, "No, I don't really want that. Like, I don't want it to be. I want it to be imbalanced, right? I want my up to be through the roof, right? Up, right? Because that'll give me the opportunity to inspire, influence, help my family, be somebody where I'm coming from worth being, right? And it's not that, and I'm just realizing that we're all just kind of different in that way, and we all just have to make our own conscious decision. Like who do you want to be out here? You know what I mean? Do you just want to be, you know, where I'm from, I've seen guys getting killed left and right. Right. And you get killed, you go out, you live your life, you know, you die at 24, bang, you lay on the ground, they rush you, somebody make a t-shirt for you, they pour out some beer, 2 days later, somebody else get killed, you're forgotten, they pronounce your name wrong at the funeral. That was your whole existence. And I'm like, yo, man, that ain't gonna be me. Forget that. I'd rather wake up at 5. I don't care. I'd rather be successful and tired, right, than well rested and be a loser and a bum. So everything I do got to be with the intention of trying to be the best, like the very, very, very best. And that's what I love about the WNBA. I get to try to match my wits against other coaches' wits, who they deem to be the best or at the highest level in the world. I get to work with the best players, right? I get to see if, you know, what I'm doing, if I'm full of crap or was I right? You know what I mean? And I just want everything to be intentional. When you wake up, what you eat, when you work out, how do you talk to people? Do you love people? Do you love them on purpose? Do you say hi? Of course, I say hi to the owner. Do you say hi to the guy parking the cars when you pull into the arena? Right? This guy's working to make a living, like you talked about earlier, right? You think this guy wants to park our cars? No, he don't want to park our cars, right? Right? I mean, but he's doing it to probably provide for his family. So how do you treat this dude? That's on purpose. Like part of it is you want to be a good man. The other part of it is, yo, man, we live in Chicago. What if somebody come over and try to steal your car? You need this dude. So you're just sowing them seeds, everything you do, your relationships with people, being respectful, shaking a man's hand, looking him in the eye, right? Everything with intention, right? So I always wanted to be successful, and I just had to start to maybe adjust my mindset on the decisions we make every single day. Because that's all it is, just a bunch of little decisions that we make that add up to something at the end of the week.
Right.
Yeah, bars.
Bars, right?
Hey,
Yeah.
Dave, you got
My
your not so
goodness.
breaking news, man?
Listen, I don't have a not so breaking news, but I got something for Chaz in general.
Facts,
That
go
can
ahead.
fill in the not so breaking news.
Okay.
So and damn, we're gonna have to have like 10 snippets for this damn episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm already
man.
on
My
it.
All the
goodness.
bars he dropping.
Right.
I'm
You
sitting
lying?
I'm writing my ass off. You see me over here like, god damn. I'm like, okay, 57-minute mark, 1 minute. All right. Take us on a journey. Now, we all know it. We're all in the area. Originally from New York, raised in Jersey, now down in the DMV area.
Mhm.
You know, Earl is up there in Jersey. Sean originally, well, he gave you the Arizona side, but originally also raised in Newport News, Virginia, now in the DMV area. So we know the area. We know city life. We know all that.
Yep.
We know the grind.
Mhm.
With all that being said, take the people that don't know on a journey real quick through Philly. I want you to give me, I was going to say top 5, but I'm not going to put a number to it. Take me through a journey through Philly. I know somebody has their ear right on the headset right now when I say this. On the top things through Philly, artists, athletes, landmarks, businesses, whatever you want to throw out there, take me through the top things in Philly.
Oh, let's rock and roll. All right. Top. Yeah.
Turn down a little bit, Sean.
Yeah.
Bring it down.
Top basketball experience in the city of Philadelphia. The brotherly love Pro-Am. Right?
Pro-Am. Okay. Bring it down a little bit, Sean.
Yeah, turn it on.
The best international players in the tri-state area come through. NBA guys come through. Just pretty, ferocious. It just encompasses the spirit of the
Turn
city.
down halfway, Sean. Halfway. Sorry about that.
No, yep, it encompasses the spirit of the city. Best tourist attraction, like you mentioned it earlier, Sean. I think the Philadelphia Art Museum. That's the steps that Rocky ran. Rocky 3. I mean, you spoke. That's literally my favorite movie on earth.
Mine too. Best score there ever was to a movie. Rocky 1. By far.
Yep. So, I mean, guys and girls, they're running up the steps and they're having asthma attacks and tours down the steps. And guys hustling. It's Philly, guys hustling T-shirts and then selling water ices. It's a couple heroin addicts stumbling past. You in Philly, right? Right. So that's a great place to visit, I would say. As far as food, my favorite place to eat is a place called Greek Lady. It's a Greek restaurant right on the campus of University of Pennsylvania, right? And so I always get it's called a grilled chicken plate. And you get this grilled chicken and they season it to perfection. What is it like? It's not a skewer. It's the thing that rotates.
Yeah, the rotisserie joint. Yeah, I forgot what it's called.
Huge, right? And the guy, he's got this big beard. And I was like, yo, man, can you put your net over your joints? And he's hacking, picking off.
We don't want no beers over this, coach. You see
Love
this?
it.
We don't want no nets over this.
Yeah, he has to do. That's a sanitary issue with this guy, right? He's hacking. I see the seasoned deliciousness just falling onto the plate. I say, yeah, do that. Give me a little more of that. Well, that's my favorite spot, Greek Lady, for sure, right? I would say outdoor basketball league, like if you want to get the real Philly old head summer vibe, the Ralph Brooks Community Basketball League at 20th and Tasker, at my hood, right? Ralph Brooks is a schoolyard dedicated to a friend of mine when we were in middle school who was shot and paralyzed. So they named a schoolyard after him. He's still alive, thank God, but he's been paralyzed ever since. So however many years later, 20-something years later, we have a basketball league at the schoolyard, and it's all the old heads from all around the city of Philadelphia, right? And so when I say old heads, I mean you talk about former NBA players. Flip Murray plays in there. He played with the Sonics and Cavs. A lot of overseas guys. street guys, working men, and we all come together, right, and go at it for 3-4 hours on Saturday and Sunday morning. You have the guys over to the left, and they call it Tito's Lounge. Right, the old heads they're drinking, and the other guys are into their own activity, and these funny smells come from the other side. It's an eclectic situation, right? It's something there, but it's a family atmosphere as well, right?
Yep.
Just good basketball, just to see. There's a wall, a mural right behind the court, and it has a list. They just ran out a wall, right, for how many people were killed in our community, and they list all the names. And there's so many that they just ran out of wall, right? So for us to be, I mean, I don't play anymore, obviously, because I'm here, but for us to be 40, late 30s, 40s, and all that, and to just be able to come together, right, and just hoop and laugh and talk trash and go down memory lane. And, you know, these guys were gang warring coming up. We couldn't come together and play basketball because we hit each other growing up. So that's like
give me that music scene.
Yeah, music scene. Me personally, like I'm a two era guy.
Cut the music.
Yep.
Cut the music.
All right, let's do it. I'm a two era guy. Chaz Franklin, at one point in his life, grew up on 1720 Siegel Street.
Okay.
1720. So I'm not like a guy.
You know, we know this is going.
Yeah,
we know this is going.
Like from like the other part, and then I like this dude.
We got you
from the block, right? 1720 Siegel.
Let me just write it down.
Right. Right. So obviously I have an affinity, an ancient, in-depth affinity for Beanie Siegel, right?
Yes.
You guys are, you know, you're from that New York, Jersey area, right? I used to go through this thing, right? With my New York guys when I was at Hampton University, my dorm mates. And it was a guy from Brooklyn. You know how these Brooklyn guys are. They're very pro Brooklyn with everything, right? And he never gave me props on anything in my life. This guy name was Bobby, right? Everything in New York was better than everything in Philly. This is Bobby. And I'm walking to the bathroom one morning, and he said, "Hey, yo, son." I said, "Yo, what's up? What's up?" He said, "I was listening to Beans." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I've been through wars, homie. I can show stitches. South Philly got the fight game so vicious. I messed with that son. I messed with that. Damn, baby, we here now."
You sound just like him too.
Right? So that Beans to me, you know what I mean, is my.
But see, Chaz, if people know that history, Beanie gave Jay that street cred at that time. He put that card out there for him. And the thing is, what I'm sad about, without going so far into it, Jay was laying out the blueprint, but that blueprint was also for Beans. I know. But Beans couldn't get from you know, like Memphis Bleak will eat forever. Right. It will eat forever because he grabbed on. But Beans had a whole lane. Jay was painting that lane, and
right.
And it's just a shame because I knew that thing was gonna go. State property stuff was just the beginning. That thing was gonna go.
Very talented, very talented lyricist. And you know what? Like, because I don't never want to be one of those old guys that's like stuck in 1999 and 2000. Right. So when you know to bring it full circle with our Super Bowl year and Meek Mill his intro, right? You talking about a legendary song, right? Wrapped up in a legendary moment that's gonna last forever. Because whenever they go back, you know, you have NFL films and they show the guy and the steam is coming from their face mask. You know how they growing up. And that song is going to be part of history, right?
Absolutely.
So not just the history of Philadelphia with Meek Mills and rap and music, but the history of the NFL. You cannot tell the story, right, without the soundtrack or the score, like how you mentioned with Rocky earlier, right? That's the soundtrack to where we were and I just remember, I mean, every time I hear it, it's nostalgic for me. I just I can't help but, you know, and then if you ever listen to the lyric, he's telling a part of the story. He's part of my life. Yeah, I had to grind like that, to shine like that. I remember, you know what I mean? Right? Like, yeah,
Oh,
yo,
he got hyped up.
I had to
He
kill
about to go out there right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling that. So those two guys for me. I mean,
But hold on, Chaz, because I got to make sure with somebody real quick. Hey, Earl, are you okay? That he had
No,
mentioned,
no, this no, because this is what I was going to say. So, like, outside of the sports teams, right?
Uh-huh.
I actually love Philadelphia because it's funny because I wanted to go to Temple, and I didn't get in the first go around. I got in like after I got into my first college, and the reason why I really wanted to be in Philly because like I'm an artsy type of person. So
Artsy.
music, everything, music, art. Like I mean, driving and seeing all the murals. Then the music scene, like I mean, and I love rap, but I'm an R&B person. So I remember even when we was up here going to school in Newark, and I remember listening to Hot 97, and I'm like, yo, Jay-Z bought these cats from Philly on the radio station, and they had the infamous
I remember that freestyle. Yeah,
with Beanie Siegel,
that was infamous.
Freeway. And I was like, yo, if that's when Freeway, we was like, yo, who is this? Right. That's a classic.
Hey, we can't pay for that.
But then like just taking it out of that, like, taking it past rap, because I always felt like some of the best rappers came from Philly. You know what I'm saying? Even Jada Kiss will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? But then like you take it on the music scene, you know who my favorite, Jill Scott.
Right. Yeah.
Then you got Bilal, like I mean Kendrick, like all these people I'm about to go
Patti
see
LaBelle from way back. Like,
yeah.
it's a history.
Yeah, when she was remembering people's songs and stuff like that, just crazy.
Gambling Huff was made the
Scott.
whole Philly sound.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
so
It goes
like
on and on. Yep.
it goes on and on. So it was like, man, y'all got something going over there in Philly, man. It was something in the water.
Yeah.
Jasmine Sullivan, like it's something in the water.
Yeah.
Y'all gave us the clips in VA. For people who don't know, they came from Philly, so they didn't come from New York. They came from Philly. So Malice.
From Virginia.
No. They came down. They were actually up in Philly, and then they came down to VA. So most of their life was in VA.
Yeah, you know them for VA,
but they started up there, which is
really?
not
I didn't
people.
know that.
Yeah. They a lot of people didn't know that, so they didn't know that. So yeah,
kind of like a Tupac West Coast East Coast thing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Baltimore and New York and
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So, of course, this is the Hot Seat Podcast, man, with your boy, Sean, Earl, Dave, our special guest, Chaz Franklin. This is All Black Everything, Volume 3, Episode 7. So, of course, this podcast wouldn't be what it is, man, without taking our podcast, well, actually, not even our podcast, our conversations of Xbox, Coach, we game. Our gaming conversations, and we turned it into a podcast during the pandemic, and now we're world-renowned podcast. We out in Geneva. I feel like we got to go out there because I've seen people listen out of Geneva. And we're not talking about one. We're not talking about two. We're talking about multiple people. So it's kind of pretty dope. So, of course, you can find me on Xbox Live at Sanaa2X. They just updated Street Fighter 6. Again, like I said a couple weeks ago, anybody can get these paws. It's out there. They just added a new character. I'm out in these streets right now. It's fun. Just come out and catch me gaming. Oh, we can play some PGA. Yes, Dave. I have up my gamer guy. He's now a official 80 on PGA Tour.
I hear you.
2023. So we can play a little bit now. And then of course, I'm still preparing for all this new stuff there, new Cyberpunk downloads, stuff I do in this case. But since we talk about gaming, and Coach, I don't know how much you game, but we talked about this on an episode several episodes back because we played NBA 2K23 at the time. Earl, shut up. We were all disgusted.
Yes,
and this is legit.
I know where you're going.
How they did the whole cover art and everything for the WNBA, and they had Candace and everybody on the cover. But we go to play the you play the NBA side, and then we go play the WNBA side, and we like, what in the world are we playing right now? It was not what we
Coach,
expected.
it was so bad.
It's so bad.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was.
So as a gamer, you got the NBA 2K. Always playing with the NBA players.
Mm-hmm.
They decided a couple years back, they were like, okay, let's introduce the WNBA players into the game.
Right.
Bet. We're ready. We switch over to that gameplay. you could tell that they threw that thing in at the very last minute. And we spoke about it on a prior show.
Yep.
It was so horrible. The lack of attention that they gave to the WNBA gameplay. First off, none of the players look like the players. None of them. With how in tune the view was for NBA players, when you switched over and you used the WNBA player, you were like, who is this?
Wow.
This supposed to be Candace Parker?
Wow.
This supposed to be like, it was so. And then you had them where they weren't even making layups, coach.
Yeah.
They weren't even the gameplay was so slow.
Right.
You talking about 40% for your player, Khalil, for the 3?
Yeah.
We were trying to get 4. like just shot type stuff. It was so embarrassing.
Right.
Not only just leave it out if you ain't gonna give it your
you ain't gonna give them the
as far as the developers, because that's some of the ways that people push their way into watching the game.
They
may fall in love with it through gameplay and then go, damn, I need to start watching the WNBA.
Right. Yep.
Ain't nobody that wasn't watching the WNBA start playing that game and go, I need to go watch the WNBA.
Wow.
It was so bad. And we yelled out about them so much because you could just tell it was so lackluster, coach. So lackluster. So I'm hoping, I'll go into my gameplay side and then y'all can give takes on it. The storyteller, holla at me on the games and everything like that. Stay in the 2K tradition type of things. I will be getting a Mamba edition, Kobe edition of the 2K game this year coming up. I'm moving my credits over to that from the Star Wars game that I never picked up. And and then Madden, I will be reserving. I will not be doing an upgraded one on that. That will be the standard version.
Yes, you will be. Yes.
But yeah, because the Eagles are going to be a little bit too good in that. But so either way, I hope 2K you get it right with this one, because I know WNBA is going to be in there, and if Kalia is hitting some 40% from 3, I want to be hitting 40% from 3 in the Chicago Sky, or else I'm calling up Chaz and I'm going to be like, yo, your play ain't doing it right for me, bro.
We gotta have a talk. We gotta have a talk. We need to walk around
doing this right,
or whatever we got to do. But we got to get you gotta get it right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and the reason why I say that, in all seriousness, I know, even though I'm not a player or anything else like that, I know in a way there's not even a bigger joy. I know you got your championships and things like that, but for all these players that are gamers, that joy is so big when you can play yourself in a game. And then for them to grab this game and be like, what is this? That it's just so embarrassing. It's just not the way it's supposed to be. So, that's it. Storyteller.
What you got, Earl?
NJ Fatboy 973. I haven't had the time like I wanted to, to get in these games, but
that's because you getting your doctorate.
Yeah, Madden is coming out, so I'm gonna have to juggle, move some things around, make sure I get them.
Do not move around your doctorate. I'm sorry, Teach. I'm sorry.
Whatever.
We in the playoffs.
It's gonna be a different game. That's all we got.
I got you.
Absolutely, man. So, of course, before we get out of here, so we're coming to episode 7. So we're coming towards the end of All Black Everything Volume 3. And, we can't do it unless we do it with a bang. So August 5th, the Hot Seat Podcast will be on location from a location we're going to divulge this week. There's going to be a cigar bar. There's going to be smoke. There's going to be drinks, and there's going to be a conversation with our illustrious host that we will be naming this week. And this is how we're going to end the All Black Everything series this year. It's been a fun time. We appreciate each and every one of our special guests. And I'll challenge anyone who loves listening to podcasts to come over and listen to the Hot Seat Podcast. Look, there's no fear. We just love doing this because we love having conversations. We love bigging up our Black community, no matter what walk of life, whether it's sports, entertainment, music, health, it's any and everybody, and we just some regular dudes, with house guys. That's all we do, and it's been fun no matter what, and we may or may not even have some merch on deck, for the on location. We might even invite you some of you guys out there. So make sure you tap in with us, check in on the Hot Seat Podcast actual IG page and check into that. So August 5th, we on location. But before we got here, Coach, plug your socials and everything else. Let them know where to come watch Chicago Sky basketball and everything else in between, even though I'm a Washington Mystics fan, but that's neither here nor there. But there you go. You got it, Coach.
Well, Coach Chaz Franklin on Instagram. That's CHAZ M Franklin. Is that right? No, it's just Coach Chaz Franklin. I'm sorry about that. But that's not what's important. Follow us on IG at Chicago Sky. If you guys are East Coast time, we play tomorrow night on ESPN against the Los Angeles Aces. Yeah, isn't that big? Right? Right, yeah. So that'll be at 7 p.m. East Coast time. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you cheer for us and not Las Vegas because we're trying to win. That's just what it is. We're representing the city of Chicago. We're representing all of the disenfranchised and all the underdogs, and we represent the have-nots. And we're just trying to play a good style of basketball, and physical and fast and aggressive, and it's entertaining. And so, if you're a basketball enthusiast or even a casual fan, I think you'll enjoy it. So, I just want to make sure I'm plugging our team, and you can go ahead and cop some Sky merch. At the Sky store, you'll be able to find that on our IG page as well. And everybody just stay blessed.
For the record, Coach, we can't. I don't know. We can really, cheer for the Chicago Sky because we kind of got like a conflicting interest because our guy Lamont, who's involved.
Yeah, we have a sponsor that was on a couple episodes ago that is actually a brokerage sponsor for the Las Vegas.
He's a friend of ours.
He's in the same series.
He is, and he's a Washington Commanders fan. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you at this point.
He's a Raiders fan. But listen.
We build it. We build it.
Listen.
Oh man.
All jokes aside, though, and I think I can speak for everybody here, Coach. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show, especially for the sense of holding the title that you gotta love to do. And the reason why I say that is you always hear about coaches' names, head coaches, even assistant coaches. Hell, even nowadays, GMs got their faces all on the cameras, and things like that. But just like they tell you, it takes a village, it takes a team. And that team doesn't stop with just the players. How do those players develop? How does somebody I'm a diehard Chicago Bulls fan. Jimmy Butler, when he came in the league, he was not the Jimmy Butler that you see right now.
Right.
That man worked every minute of a whole year. And you could tell because every season he came back better. Then the Bulls messed up and let him go. And then everybody else messed up and let him go. And now he's over there with Miami Heat. And no matter who you surround him with, he's in the finals.
Yeah.
So I put that out there because just like with what we talk about with music, with A&Rs and stuff, and it's one of those things that people sweep to the side. This type of thing, player development, it's huge.
Yep.
Just like in any type of business, a mentor, any type of developmental coach, it's huge. So if you're not seeing success, if you're not seeing these fruits of your labors, you think you're putting time in and stuff like that, he said something pretty huge before we get off here. Right. Surround yourself with the right people.
Yep.
Because if there's people around you that you're using as an excuse of why they're anchoring you down, you got to change your surroundings. I'm telling you, change your surroundings. That's a huge, huge note in the steps towards success. So thank you, Coach, for being on here. We appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, buddy.
Absolutely. Shout out to our sponsor, man, All Black Everything 24/7 365. Make sure you guys shop allblackeverything247.com. Of course, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Hot Seat Podcast. And if you haven't already, because I've seen the subscribers go up, subscribe on YouTube at the Hot Seat Podcast. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you, Coach Franklin, man. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your rest of your summer because it's coming to a close. Kids about to go back to school. That guy got a Giants thing going on. I don't know what's happening because it was a pass interference and they took the game from us and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on. Shout out to I'm going to be the first day of training camp this week, so I'm going to be reporting live from my radio show.
Y'all name this year is just going to be Washington.
It don't really matter because I'm just going to be out there. They selling out tickets. Hopefully I get to talk to Magic Johnson. I'll be there Thursday. Coach, man, we appreciate you, man. It's the hot seat, man.
All right.
Got you.
Peace out.